Imagine you are standing in a crowded room and a total stranger walks up to you. They do not say hello. They simply reach out and hand you their smartphone. It is unlocked. You can see their private messages, their bank app, the photos of their children, and the notes they wrote to themselves in the middle of the night. Now, imagine they ask you to hold it for them while they walk out of the room. Do you feel that slight tightening in your chest? That flicker of hesitation? That is not just social awkwardness. It is the sound of 1,000,000 years of evolution screaming at you to be careful. We are hardwired to believe that strangers equal danger. Yet every single day, millions of us are doing something far more radical than holding a phone. We are handing over the keys to our front doors. I want to tell you about the time I almost ended up kidnapped in the trunk of a tiny red sports car. At least, that is what my brain was telling me at the time. It was the day after I graduated from design school. I was having a yard sale, trying to clear out my life, when a man pulled up in a red Mazda Miata. He bought a piece of art I had made. He seemed nice enough. He was on a solo cross-country road trip before joining the Peace Corps. We went out for a beer. He talked about his passion for changing the world. And then, the moment of truth arrived. I asked him where he was staying. He told me he did not have a place. What do you do in that moment? My mouth moved before my brain could stop it. I offered him an airbed in my living room. That night, as I lay in bed, I was paralyzed. I was staring at the ceiling, thinking, what if he is psychotic? I actually got out of bed and tiptoed to the door to lock it. Why did my brain do that? Why does your brain do that? To understand this, we have to look at the evolutionary engine that drives our suspicion. For 99% of human history, encountering a stranger was one of the most dangerous things that could happen to you. Our ancestors lived in small, tight-knit tribes where everyone knew everyone. An outsider was a variable. An outsider could bring disease. They could be a scout for a rival group, or they could compete for limited resources. The brain developed a highly sensitive smoke detector called the amygdala. Its job is to scan the environment for threats. When it sees someone who does not look like us, talk like us, or belong to our tribe, it triggers a fear response. This is what psychologists call error management theory. In the wild, it is much better to have a false positive than a false negative. If you hear a rustle in the grass and you assume it is a tiger, but it is actually just the wind, you lose nothing. But if you assume it is the wind and it is actually a tiger, you are dead. Our brains applied this same logic to people. We evolved to assume the stranger is a threat because in the Pleistocene era, that assumption kept us alive. Even though we now live in a world of glass towers and digital connections, that ancient software is still running in the background of your mind. It is why I locked my bedroom door against a guy who just wanted to join the Peace Corps. We see this same bias play out in high-stakes systemic ways throughout history. Look at how ancient empires built their cities. The Great Wall, or the massive fortifications of medieval Europe, were not just physical barriers, they were architectural manifestations of the stranger danger bias. On a more modern, systemic level, think about how massive social media companies use algorithms. They use something called lookalike modeling. These trillion-dollar systems are designed to find people who are exactly like you and group you together. They are essentially reinforcing our evolutionary urge to stay within the tribe. By feeding us content from people who share our views and our backgrounds, they are profitable because they are playing directly into our biological fear of the different. They are building digital gated communities. But then, something shifted for me. That guest in my living room? He was not psychotic. He is a teacher now, and that piece of art he bought is still hanging in his classroom. That experience taught me that maybe the people we are taught to label as strangers are just friends we have not met yet. A few years later, when I was broke and unemployed in San Francisco, that realization turned into an idea. My roommate and I decided to turn our apartment into a designer's bed and breakfast for a local conference. We offered an airbed, wireless internet, and a ham and Swiss cheese omelet. We called it Airbed and Breakfast. And to our surprise, people actually showed up. When we tried to turn this into a business, investors thought we were crazy. They said no one in their right mind would let a stranger sleep in their home. They were right from an evolutionary perspective. But we realized that if we wanted this to work, we had to do something more than just build a website. We had to design for trust. We had to build a system that could override 1,000,000 years of biological programming. Think back to that phone experiment. If I asked you to hand your phone to the person on your left right now, you would feel that panic. Oh, but what if we changed the design of that interaction? What if before they took your phone, that person told you their name? What if they told you they have 2 kids and a golden retriever? And what if they showed you a digital record of 150 other people saying, "This person is amazing at holding phones. They did not look at a single private message." Suddenly, your brain starts to relax. The amygdala dials back the alarm. This is the power of a reputation system. We did a study with a major university to see how similarity affects trust. Not surprisingly, the data showed that we prefer people who are like us in age, location, and geography. If someone is different, we trust them less. This is our natural social bias, the homophily effect. But here is the miracle. The study found that if a person has more than 10 positive reviews, everything changes. High reputation beats high similarity. A well-designed reputation system can actually help us overcome our most deeply rooted tribal biases. It is as if the data acts as a bridge, allowing us to step over the prehistoric moat we have built around ourselves. But trust is a delicate thing. It requires just the right amount of disclosure. Imagine you are a host and a stranger messages you. If they just say, "Yo," your brain flags them as a threat because they are not providing enough social signals. They are an unknown variable. On the flip side, if they share too much, if they start telling you about their deep-seated issues with their mother, your brain also flags them. Why? Because oversharing signals a lack of social awareness, which the brain interprets as unpredictability. And unpredictability is a cousin of danger. We found there is a Goldilocks zone of disclosure. A message like, "I love the art in your home, I am coming for a family vacation," provides exactly enough humanity to signal that this person is part of the human tribe, without being a liability. We bet our entire company on the hope that design could bridge this gap. And it turns out, the world was hungry for it. But it was not always easy. I have been on the front lines when trust breaks. I have taken the phone calls when guests have trashed a house, or when a host has left someone stranded in the rain. Those calls hurt. They feel like a personal failure because they are the moments when the design failed to protect the human connection. But those failures are the exceptions. Out of over 120 million nights of hosting, less than a fraction of a percent have been problematic. The overwhelming majority of humans, it turns out, are justified in their trust. When it works, it is transformative. There was a guest staying with a host in Uruguay who suffered a massive heart attack. The host did not just call an ambulance, they rushed him to the hospital themselves. They stayed in the waiting room while he had bypass surgery. They even donated their own blood to save his life. Wow. The guest later wrote a review saying the house was highly recommended for travelers prone to heart attacks because the hosts are literal guardian angels. That is no longer a transaction. That is something else entirely. This is what the sharing economy is actually about. If we just call it a rental economy, we are missing the point. It is commerce with the promise of human connection. For decades, our cities have been designed around privacy and separation. Our homes are fortresses of solitude. But we are seeing a shift towards shared cities. In places like South Korea, the government is repurposing parking spots to be shared and connecting students with elderly residents who have extra rooms. We are moving away from a world of isolation and back toward a world of community. But this time, it is a global community powered by intentional design. Tonight, 785,000 people in 191 countries will sleep in a stranger's home. They will use their kitchens, they will use their bathrooms, and they will trust that they are safe. This is not because human nature has changed overnight. It is because we have learned how to take the components of trust and build them into the very fabric of our interactions. We have learned how to use creativity to turn fear into fun. Design cannot solve every problem in the world. But it has shown us that we can overcome the stranger danger bias that has governed our species for millennia. It makes me wonder, if we can design for trust between two people who have never met, what else can we design for? Can we design for empathy between warring factions? Can we design for cooperation on a global scale? The engine of our bias is ancient, but the tools we have to navigate it are brand new. I want you to take a moment today to audit your own brain. The next time you feel that flicker of hesitation when meeting someone new, or that urge to lock your metaphorical door, ask yourself, is this a tiger in the grass, or is it just the wind of an old instinct? Look for the signals of reputation and the moments of shared humanity. We are living in a massive global experiment in trust, and you are a part of it. Follow series as we continue to peel back the layers of why we do what we do and how we can design a world that feels a little less like a collection of strangers and a little more like a home. Thank you for listening.